Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about something. It's probably going to sound kind of obvious, like, well, why would he talk about that? But there are people out there that basically just don't follow up. So if you halfway know what you're doing, if you will, the key is to follow up with people. The more that you follow up with people, the more likely they are to realize basically who you are. So the human brain works off of a frequency level. And basically what I mean by that is it has to be kind of touched a few times for them to even realize who you are. So for example, like if you're over the phone, or even if you're walking in person, you're going to touch base with that person. They're going to forget about 75% of what you've talked about within that first, but like literally they're probably just going to like not even think about you the second that you leave or the second that they hang up. They're like, okay, well, this guy's gone. But the more that you kind of focus, that you follow up, and not only just follow up, but you're politely following up, really kind of keeping you essentially the brand, the true brand. People don't buy a product, they buy the person and then essentially buy the product from that person, if you will. And a lot of times, yes, it has to do with timing. It has to do with, whether they need the product or not. But the thing is, a lot of times people don't even realize that they need that thing right then and there. So the trick, again, is to be able to follow up with them and follow up with them until you either get a yes or no. You can also encourage them too, like, either, hey, it's totally okay to say no to me. If you do say no to me, then I know that you're just not interested, or at least I can start getting kind of the objections from you. So I can start getting, well, do you mind if I ask, so I can put it in my notes, what exactly is making you hesitate sitting down with me? Or what is it exactly, I'd love to put it in my notes if you don't mind if I ask, what is holding you back from using, my product, or whatever the case might be. So really, the focus on today's video might sound kind of obvious, but the point is that you just want to follow up. If you think that the person that you're selling to, whether you're on the phone or whether you're in person, is going to know exactly who you are, or even give you that mental space to figure out exactly what it is that you're selling during that first visit, you're crazy. I mean, 2% of sales on average was going to close on that very first visit, and so forth and so on. It just gets easier and easier and easier the more that you follow up with people. And even me on my end, like I'm talking about sales trainings and treatment coordination and selling to patients, etc. Even me as a human, the more somebody gently follows up with me and kind of stays at the top of my brain, the more likely I am to at least give them a shot of exactly what they're asking for, especially if they're not being like a total jerk or like, mean about her. Hey, what do I got to do to put you into listening to me today? If they're gently kind of following up, but at the same time, really thinking about me rather than what it is that they want. If you want a really, 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 really good book on sales, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, written I believe in like the 30s, is still relevant to today. And he talks about how most salespeople are walking around pounding their head against the wall like, why is this not working for me, when what they really could be doing, or what they really should be doing, is focusing on what the client needs, what they want, what their pain points are, really focusing on the client first and then their commission second, because basically the commission will naturally follow if you really put the client's needs and wants first and foremost. But again, that's definitely a big part of it. It's one of the major parts of it is making sure that you're really caring about, the client and what their needs are, etc. But the follow-up is crucial. And again, if you're in a dental setting and you are a treatment coordinator and you're not following up with your patients, you're really just kind of giving them an out. Even if you just followed up with them a few times, hey, do you have any further questions about the treatment that was presented to you? Hey, do you do you mind if I ask what's holding you back? Fill in the blank. The trick is, or really the key is to make sure that you're focusing on that follow up, and that you're also tracking it as well. You don't want to just kind of, I probably called the prospect, or I called the patient a couple times, 3-4 times. Well, Sean, how many times did you call him? I don't know. Really make sure that you're using a CRM, a customer relationship management system, something like Salesforce or HubSpot. There's a ton of different stuff. You just put in CRM online, and then you can look to see whatever best fits your needs. But you really want to make sure that you're notating those follow-ups and putting in really, really good notes. That's another part of it as well. The better notes you put in, the more likely you are to know where you left off, the easier it will be for you to pick up on things, and then really just kind of work through the funnel as much as possible. So generally the rule of thumb that I follow is that I know somebody probably, especially if I'm trying to get through a gatekeeper, that if I'm on the phone, it's going to be a lot easier in person. I had a boss one time that always used to say that the magic happens in person, and it really does, because you really get the chance to see their body language, see their micro expressions, see how they're reacting to different situations. But basically the general rule of thumb to probably follow is that they're probably going to not even listen to who you are until 3 or 4 times. Oh, hey, Sean, on the 4th call. Oh, hey, Sean. Hey, thanks for calling again. I appreciate it. Or, hey, Sean, what do you want? At least I know that I'm doing my job. 5, 6, 7, 8. Then they're starting to really kind of not only think about the product, but think about using it. And if they're probably closing, unless it's somebody that's really ready for that right now and I've caught them at the perfect time, they're closing, probably more likely to that 8 to 12 mark, 5 plus probably. So if you're only touching base with your prospects once, twice, if you're sending them an email and dropping off some information and thinking, oh, okay, well, then they'll read that, and if they're interested, they'll call me back. They're not going to. You've got to be able to follow up with them. People buy essentially from you, not from your product. Basically, features tell, stories sell. Features tell and stories sell. So the more likely you are to really build that relationship with them, care truly about what the client's needs are, what the client's wants are. We've got a video called the 80-20 rule, really, using 80% of the time listening, 20% of the time talking. You've got 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them proportionately. The more that you listen to the client, really care about what they need, and at the same time, really just, even if they haven't given you a no yet, then they haven't given you a no. Just continue to follow up with them and encourage them too. Hey, you can give me a no if you want to. It's totally okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I want to at least, I want to help you out, and I really want to do as best as I can, and I really feel that my product would be a really good fit for you. That being said as well, you want to spend your time prospecting clients that you think you would be a really good fit for. I'm kind of getting a little off track, but you really want to make sure that you have done your research, you know who your ideal client is, so you're not wasting your time. Because again, the most infinite thing that we have in life is the time that we only have so many hours per day. We only have so many hours that we're going to get, knock on wood, out of life. So you really want to make sure that you're focusing on where you think you're going to get the best return on your investment, which is the time spent, your time spent, the time that you're spending on the clients. At the same time, making sure that you're really caring about what their needs are, and not just like listening to them, thinking of like the next thing that you're going to say, or really just only really fake caring about them for the sale. You really want to make sure that you're generally caring about them, and at the same time too, you realize that there's a chance it may not just be on that, especially if you're selling a higher ticket item, that unless they're coming to you, for example, like if they're buying a car or something like that. But if you're going out to that person and you're interrupting their life to sell your services, whatever may have you, there's a good chance that you may need to follow up a few times and touch base with them. That being said, too, even the clients that are clients of yours, don't forget to follow up with those clients as well, because those can be the easiest referral type for you if you're going around to those clients, checking in with them, making sure they're okay, knowing that knowing that you just basically haven't disappeared after the sale. And then once they've used your product for a while, then you can go back in there and say, hey, Steve, how's everything going? Oh, wonderful. You like our product? That's great. Do you have anybody else you think we might be a good fit for? So essentially you kind of move more from cold calling into referral based like sales, where you're asking for 2 or 3 different referrals. They're maybe giving, let's say you ask for 3 referrals, they give you 1 or 2, then you reach out to that person, you let them know that Steve referred you, and then things just kind of get easier. But again, the whole principle of this video is that follow-up is key. And one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make in the dental world is we're not basically touching base with our clients after it's presented, with our patients after it's presented. So we want to make sure that we are following up with those patients, because again, they could be, maybe really did need to talk to their husband or wife, or they really did need a little bit more time, or again, you fill in the blank. But especially in a sales environment, unless you're just kind of giving away something, there's a really good chance that you're going to want to follow up. And again, the general rule of thumb that I follow is that 3 to 5 times, that's really when they're going to start listening to who you are, or at least giving you a chance to give your true dog and pony show, or set up the meeting, or set up the lunch and learn, fill in the blank. And then probably 5 to 12, they're closing, and if they haven't closed between 8 and 12, there's kind of a good chance that they may not go anywhere, unless you have that really. A lot of it is going off of, once all the statistics are figured out and the education of the client has been done. Sometimes you just have that gut feeling that they just really do need a little bit more time. Play with that and kind of keep those in your pipeline. But again, follow-up is incredibly important. If you're not following up, I suggest that you do so and see if it drastically helps your performance. Again, we hope that you find value in these videos. If you do, please hit our subscribe button below and hit that thumbs up and that little bell symbol to give you an idea of when we do post more videos. We try to post them on a regular basis with things that are really helpful to the people that are watching them. But as always, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you checking in. Thanks again for joining us. Have a wonderful evening.